So we're heading into the holidays. I think this is a, you know, familiar sight. People are used to, you're rushing to get that type of shopping done. There's a hot item, but I think, 2020 being the year that it is, it'll be somewhat different, right? So I think we're expecting a big push, maybe instead of, very frenzied people heading to a store, maybe frenzied hands on keyboards is a little bit more of what we're expecting. So a lot of e-commerce push. I recently saw us speaking, Brent, about like the Upper Midwest. I saw like a Target commercial recently where they were talking about, hey, like we traditionally have Black Friday, but now we have like it's this entire month of November. There's certainly a lot of momentum in that sense of just being online, available, and pushing sales there. And as a note, we're already seeing this type of movement happening for e-commerce itself. This is a statistic from the US Census Bureau that they published just recently. But one thing that was interesting is it's already reaching the point of around like one in every $5 spent in the last quarter was online for like e-commerce. And again, heading into Q4, kind of expecting a lot of this to increase quite a bit. Brent, are you kind of seeing similar things to these types of statistics, this type of sentiment from the Magento side?
Yeah, definitely. I think from the e-commerce side in general, it was always trending to be more online. Like, year over year, the trend was up, and you can see from the graph that you have presented there that the trend in e-commerce is to go online, and having your store ready for that was important. But this year, it's kind of like the tipping point. Like, hey, we're not gonna be able to do that huge sale to get thousands of people to try to crowd up to your door. Now there's going to be thousands of people that want to crowd up to your website. So part of this is, there's a whole bunch of new things that adds into this in terms of security, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of speed, all those little things that weren't as important 10 years ago, and certainly weren't even thought about 50 years ago. Now suddenly, in 1 year, in 6 months, or and during this 16-year pandemic since March that we've had, that has become so imperative as a store owner to be ready for this surge that you could get. And to specifically answer your question, I think what we've seen is the people that are looking forward into their web store or into their e-commerce site, they're doubling down now to be prepared for this, knowing that whatever investment they're making into that is going to pay off in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of times conversations I would have around this or like checkout flows is, some program manager would usually assess this on like, a fraction of a second, right? Like, hey, this, how much latency does this add? What does this look like for our flow? But like you said, if you look at it just solely in a single order, it's like a fraction of a cent. Like, is this perceptible to a normal consumer? But when you add that up with like all of the volume, those fractions of a second add up really quickly and then lead to a lot of, like not discomfort isn't the right word, but just like more delays than you might anticipate. So I think it's something a lot of people are kind of having a very serious talk internally about and, what they could be doing better.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Just to interrupt really quickly, for a clarification in the questions, they're asking if the figures are from the US market only.
Yes, yeah. Apologies. That's a U.S. Census Bureau statistic. So just from that market. However, I think there are larger, like if you look at Mary Meeker's annual like statistics, she had one earlier this year. There are general observations globally that are very similar from like an e-commerce increase as a like total percentage of like retail sales.